Darla King was told she didn't have a future in leadership at her firm. And so she did what any game-changing woman would do. And that was to tap her life savings, set up a desk in her living room, and start a revolution in the commercial furniture industry alongside her life partner and husband, Dave King. Today, that living room startup is a multi-million-dollar powerhouse with over 70 employees.
Yes.
Serving corporate brands across the country, and it's still 100% family-owned and woman-led. But here's the real playbook move. Darla has been scaling this business alongside her daughter, Chelsea, a design powerhouse who is reimagining what the modern workplace looks like for the world's biggest brands. On today's episode of Her Business Playbook, we're diving into the 0 punch list for building a winning brand, navigating the founder-to-successor handoff, and why a never miss a ball game culture is King Business Interior's competitive advantage. Please welcome mother-daughter duo, Darla King, founder, and Chelsea, now CEO of King Business Interiors. Welcome to the show.
Thanks
for having us.
Lots to ask, lots to know, and you have such an inspiring story. So we're going to jump right in and start with your personal brands. Growing up, was there a brand that made a lasting impression on you as a girl, and why?
I think as a girl is kind of hard. I think the one that comes to mind to me always is Southwest Airlines. Their brand of just always smiling, customer first, the red heart, the warm. It's soothing. It makes you feel like, you're traveling, you're spending money that you probably maybe don't need to be spending, but it's like it gets you in the mindset of positivity. Yeah. And I just have always loved that brand.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I can't say that as a girl I had a brand, but as an adult and being around Columbus, Trader Joe's is amazing. The people, the products, the crowds. When you go to that grocery store and people are like, "Can I help you? Come over here, I'm open." Compared to what we're seeing in other competitors, it is amazing. And they have a whole philosophy on who they hire and how they hire. And I think that's so important for their culture and for, I just love going in there. First thing you do is buy flowers. And then you go right into the healthy foods. And it's like, okay, it's a whole game changer. And I just love that brand of making people happy and being happy, and the employees are
I love being there.
Enjoyable.
Very community oriented.
Yeah, customer service,
customer focus.
Yeah, it's huge.
Yeah.
And if I can't find it at Trader Joe's, I don't need it.
Oh, okay. So you are committed.
Don't worry, you can find a lot of things you don't need there.
That's right.
Yeah, you're a great brand ambassador. That's for sure. So how would each of you describe your personal brand reputation? What do you think first comes to mind for either one of your coworkers or a friend, family member? What are some of the first things that you believe come to mind when they think about you?
I'm probably one that's on the recycle side, reuse, find product we can rearrange in the same space and get a different look. Just that whole, we have a program called Connecting the Dots where we give free furniture to nonprofits and charities, but the point is, when we buy stuff for our showroom, for example, if it's discontinued, it's hard to keep on the showroom. It's also hard to sell right away. So for me, it's like reuse. And maybe it's my age, maybe it's, I don't know, but I find there's got to be a better use or a way or someplace we could donate it to that they can get more use out of it. And I think at the warehouse they even call me, what was his name, Fred Stanford.
Fred Stanford? Really, Darla?
Because I bring in product and they're like, can we take a good look at this? Because it's not really that. And then I go over and like, you're right, guys. You can toss that, and that. So yeah, they have a nickname for me.
That's funny. How about you, Chelsea?
Personal brand. I think over the past years, I've worked hard to separate business brand and personal brand, because I think as a woman, a business owner and leader, you can get yourself tied into it being one, like your business brand, and you are your business. And I think that's one I actually struggle with. It's like you commit so much passion and love and hard work and surrounds your life. I remember growing up, and it hit me one day. My mom was always just had so many friends. She was like, had so many plans, things. Then I realized one day, I'm like, all her friends are her customers. They just love being around her, and people love working with people who want to enjoy working together. And so I think as business owners, your brands can be so intertwined. Yeah. And it's not a bad thing. I think if not, it's hard to jump in and jump out. But I think for brand, for me personally, is figuring out how I want to show up intentionally and lead more intentionally, and kind of help take the reins. I think I'm kind of figuring out what that is right now.
Yeah.
Learning what that personal brand is.
Yeah.
As a leader.
Darla, if you don't mind me asking, how would you describe Chelsea's personal brand? What her reputation is?
In the office and in the workplace, I think it's there's pride that she's taken over the role and taken over a lot of pressure and stress and running into let's just solve it as we go, but also just the openness to the community. We have a lot of marketing programs that we never had in the past, and it brings the influencers, the architects and designers, mostly designers, into our space and into our world where we have this, dinner.
Dinner is done.
Dinner is done. They come here, see products, or maybe 10 different vendors. By the time they leave, they take a bag of food that's their dinner, whether it's spaghetti or whether it's, but we'll have different programs. And the best thing is, she's thinking about them and what's their next after work. Where are they going? They're going home. We're working on them to take home dinner. And at the same time, it's like they got to see in an hour's time 12 or 13 different vendors and new products that they can't take time during their day when they're working and they're on the clock. But those kinds of things were things she's developed, and with her team of marketing too. But they've developed that as being part of family first, and then let's fill this in, because at the end of the day you could leave at 4 o'clock.
Yeah.
Even during COVID, we had outside events, and it was because we could, and they could park out there and they could talk to people. And but I feel like it's understanding. Maybe because she grew up in a family business and realizes that the day doesn't end when you get off work at 5.
Yeah.
that is all blended.
Yeah.
And even for herself, getting married, and now we've got a lot of kids here and a lot of people that have had children. It is like we said, be there for the kids and the family and the. But that comes into the business too.
Yeah.
It's not like we're just gonna.
I thought you were going to lean into X-Acto knife. That's what she always calls me. I like the X-Acto.
X-Acto.
What time is it? 12:08. She's like, okay, it's 12:15. Like,
yeah.
A little too exact.
So very thoughtful, right?
Yeah.
And paying attention to detail and how people feel and just the overarching experience. I mean, that's a really great personal brand. Now, Chelsea, just building on helping folks better understand who you are, you transition from a designer into a VP of marketing and design role, now CEO, and congratulations on that transition. What was your personal brand play to start establishing a different type of leadership authority and as the leader of the company in a second generation family business? How did you make that transition? Can you provide some insight?
Oh, it was tough. I think it was very overwhelming at first, and we're still in that transition. It's been about a year of kind of transitioning, backfilling what I'm doing, and I think I really did lean into meditation. I started meeting with a coach that helped me kind of understand how to show up as a leader and how to lead intentionally. And it's eliminating the emotion. It's eliminating everything that can distract your ego. And ego can sometimes always be like macho, but ego is really just like what gets in your way of your mind that like causes fear or anxiety or stops you from being who you really are and who you want to show up as. And so I think my path has been trying to learn how to be intentional about how to show up as a leader. I think, if anyone had to follow in her footsteps, they'd be scared and nervous too. Big shoes to fill. And but I'm proud to have been here for celebrating 13 years actually this week here at King, and it's been amazing to learn the business. Starting from my core in design and then moving through the different roles of the business, and then taking on understanding our operating system and implementing it actually to kind of understand the roots of all the roles. I think one thing I knew I never was going to be able to do is sit in all these seats with my timeline of where I was at and my education. And so it was a really nice experience to learn all the parts of the business. But I think growing up around the business and sitting in different seats and growing within the business, I think we have a lot of tenure people here that have been here a really long time, and I think having their support, leaders and employees, cheering me on and knowing my path and knowing that I could do it, it built a lot of confidence in me to be able to do this and be here and continue to grow the second generation of King. Sure.
Yeah, what a great team, a great testament to your team that you've built. Now, the both of you are very active in the community and leadership trusts, different organizations and boards. How much of the company's success do you believe is tied to this part of your personal interest and brand, just the visibility that you have in the community, and how should other women begin building their local sphere of influence if they have an interest in doing that? Any advice on combining personal brand with community involvement or volunteerism?
When I got involved in our local City Center for International Interior Design Association, IIDA, you kind of just jump in and you connect in positions you relate to. But what I didn't realize, looking back on my experience in IIDA, was the soft skills that I learned when it comes to being a leader or being in business. How to have a tough conversation, how to develop a budget beyond my personal home budget, and all these different things. So I think the investment in these organizations, membership organizations or nonprofit boards, you say yes to things that you've never done before. And it's in a safe, smaller environment where you can learn and grow and ask and lead and all these different things. And the soft skills that really empowered me to grow into being a leader, I didn't expect that. But it was something that, looking back, it was a big reward for me. Because when you jump into a large business like King or any other business or start your own business, it's like there's a lot bigger of a risk there when you want to try different things and lean into different strategies and things like that. So.
The soft skills. Just as important.
Yeah, I think naturally we both have, we both played sports in high school.
Yeah.
She was a cheerleader in high school. We both had that leadership and or competitive edge. And even when we think about being involved in community situations or community groups or the chamber, or it's a matter of people knowing people and learning what they're doing and how they're doing it. And I think it's just it's not a fear to jump into I'll do it, I'll take that on and we'll figure it out. Maybe if you sit in the back of the room for like 6 months to a year and just listen, how do they make money? How do we help you? How can I be a good board member? If someone's looking to get on a board, just look at what your interests are. And it doesn't have to be within your company. It could be something in soft skills or in the right side of your brain, creative kind of things, or it could be something that's completely different, like a past situation where you see you can relate to. So I love it. I love just sitting back and listening. And that's how we really first got started. A customer recommended I get on a board called the New Directions Career Center. And it was helping women get back on their feet, write their resumes, talk in an interview, and that was me. I could help them. It was women helping women, And from that, I looked around and I saw, no two chairs matched. And I thought, man, we've got a bunch of chairs we could be giving them. So anyways, one thing led to another for us. It wasn't selling anybody anything. It was like, I can see a way I can help. Not only by sitting in the marketing meetings and doing something with that, but I could help the space and not have an overhead or any extra. I mean, nonprofits and the smaller groups, they need to spend their money on people and processes and events and their clients. They don't need to be spending a lot of money on office furniture, but at the same time, they're just as important as a for-profit organization because they have to do the same things. They say they're a not-for-profit, but quite frankly, everything they do is to be the best they can with the least that they have.
Yeah.
So anyways, the two together blended, and I think that's where we end today. And
yeah, it's a big part of your brand, personally and business-wise.
Yeah.
Now, Darla, you founded the company, as I mentioned earlier, after a major career pivot. How has being transparent about your bet the house beginnings helped you to build a brand that people actually trust and want to do business with?
Lately I've been thinking about that a lot, because when we started in 1998, there were like brands of furniture, like car dealerships. There's a Ford dealership. There's a Honda dealership. There, we were the Hayworth dealer, and there were 3 other brands that were competitive. If you have this brand, you can't carry that car line. The point is this: we had 3 Hayworth dealers in a small market of Columbus, Ohio. The one that I used to work for, the one I worked for 2 years, and then we started ours. And so now it became who's going to do this? And it was going to be like a jump ball every time. And it became a conflict for a while, because it was like some design firms would say, let's pick the other ones. I don't know what they're all doing over there, those 3. But we're not going to get in the mud, and we're going to just avoid having them bid, which hurt us. But after 6 months, 9 months, I think it was, one bought the other one. And then 9 months or a year after that, he filed bankruptcy. So we ended up acquiring all the Hayworth accounts, the best of the best of people and salespeople and designers and coordinators, and we ended up growing beyond what our business plan said. We went from 5 people to 12 people, because we knew we had a brand and a product and a customer base that, as long as we serviced them and helped them and took care of them, it wasn't a risk. It was like, okay, we can do this. But I look at that today and I think some of the larger customers that took a chance on me, us, my husband and I, and about 3 others, it's amazing. I mean, some of the largest companies in town. And it's people doing business with people, one-on-one. I'm not working with the entire 10,000 employees. I'm working with one-on-one and maybe a purchasing agent, and then understanding what they need and how we can mold ourselves around them. So every one of those customers in the beginning was like, we don't have this all figured out. What do you need? And then we started hearing things, and I'm getting a little off track, but we started hearing things like, we need a warehouse, just a little warehouse.
Yeah.
And then we need this, and we need that, because we don't have a building that has any storage in it, but we don't want to throw this stuff away. So things gave us the indicators. They were okay, that makes sense. And then we had a gentleman come on board, and I said, what would make you successful? And he said, if I had a flooring division. And I'm like, a whole division? And he goes, well, if I can sell flooring, I'm in the door early. Then I can see what their plans are for furniture. And flooring and furniture go naturally. One's done and the next one comes in the very next day. So I said, how would you do that, Gary? And he goes, well, I'd hire so-and-so. So we hired so-and-so, and he's a great guy. And he said, here's how we do it. We started out slow. But now that division, it's been now 16 years, that division is exceeding some of the furniture side, a local furniture side. So sometimes it's just a gut feeling or an indication or a way that you could say, how would we do that if it did happen?
I think going back to Darla's brand, I think what I missed was honestly what she just said is like, she has just a great gut reaction of yes, no. And I think that is something that is what has gotten us here from a business perspective, is as an entrepreneur, as a leader, if you have that mindset of wanting to grow something like this, you have a good gut of what customers need. I mean, I was only 8 at the time. Well, probably a little younger when you decided to leave. Yeah. But what she always tells me, she's like, I can treat my customers better, I can treat my employees better, I can do this better, and I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
And, it's kind of funny. My dad's always like, are we sure? Are we sure? She's like, let's go. You can come if you want. I'm going. All the time. It was just like yin and yang. He's in accounting, so it's good. It works out. But I think that's that strength of having confidence in your gut as a leader, to understand, like, this is what our customers need. Let's do it. Let's figure it out. You don't, sometimes it's like the yes before the plan, and how are you going to get there? But it's like setting that vision, that goal, like throw it out there, make it a shiny object. How are we going to get there?
But I think we also stayed, and we still do, stay agile. Like, okay, what do we need to do? Because if we don't do it the right way the first time, we can always come back and say, okay, that didn't work. And there have been some times where we just said, no, that's not a good idea. But we've tried it, and was like, okay, we put it as far as we could put it, and we said, okay, that for all the right reasons, whether it's money, or it's time, or it's you think about what's happened in 2020 to 2024. I mean, that just shut down office furniture completely. Everybody took their computers and their printers and went home. And we shifted gears immediately. We shifted gears to a government contract that we had, and actually those years were expansion into all 50 states. Because it doesn't have to happen in Columbus, Ohio, but follow the money, and the money was at hospitals, which were the VAs, and the VA's approved funding was approved 3 years before that, and it finally got put in place. So we built a team of five, and then we added to it to 7, and said, go after this, let's figure this out. And it literally saved us and allowed us to keep all of our employees and take care of the customers we did have. But every one of the customers, they're still now struggling. They're just now struggling to get back to what it was before COVID. And of any industry, furniture is one that if you're not selling cubicles and stations and furniture, what are you selling? So we just took another look and said, let's go towards hospitals, schools. Schools had levies. Levies got approved. Let's go after that levy, that money. And we ended up getting into a lot more of things we hadn't been in. But it was really an education on, and as we look today at some of our software, the diversity we've been able to reach into, our software now monitors that. You can talk about that a little bit on NetSuite, but and it helps us understand that we're in churches, we're in schools, we're in strip joints. Sorry, but we are. And we're in anything commercial. So you think, okay, is it just office furniture? No. Is it just flooring? No. So the point being is we're agile, we're able to adjust and say, what if we could do this? What if we could do that?
And super transparent. I mean, that's one of the things that I love about you, Darla, is just being willing to be open about the founding of the company and some of those calculated risks that you had to take. And it's really great that you have this nice balance with your husband. Like you mentioned, Chelsea, he might be a little bit more analytical and he has to be as the financial guru. But you also need somebody that has that visionary mindset and can be willing to take calculated risk. So really appreciate that about your background. Now,
thank you.
Speaking of trends, or what's happening within your industry, I know that you use 3D visualization to co-create with clients in real time.
For sure.
How cool is that? How has adopting this innovation first mindset changed the way that you win contracts? And are there any trends impacting how your brand is evolving and growing, whether it's in the technology space or otherwise?
I think one of the biggest trends we're seeing is, again, the companies are trying to attract and retain. I think I always look at it, there's 3 parts to a business. There's your facility, there's your organizational, and then the human performance of your people. And I think right now, post-COVID, it was very heavy human performance. How do we get our people to perform, whether it's home or work, or do they have what they need? Do they feel safe? And so now we're, I can't believe it's 5 years in our past, but it's like, okay, how do we now put a little more focus and intention on the organizational culture and make sure that that is still strong. And a lot of times, place is a big part of that. Like, where do people gather? How do people feel a part of a bigger organization? And so I think we're helping companies understand how their place becomes powerful for their culture, and how we can help. It seems silly, but like when you look at furniture, how does that afford an employee different things throughout the day, right? How does it give them focus? How does it give them collaboration? How do they maximize productivity while still feeling like they're having a similar experience that they did at home? I mean, that's just something we haven't had to think about. And I think in the space, when you think about space, it's not just your lobby, your conference room, your workstation anymore. There's so many more. It might not have many workstations at all. It might be a social hub that people come in and interact with each other and feel a part of that culture and collaborate and innovate. It's not a one size fits all. Is what some people get frustrated with. It's not a one size fits all. We have to understand what your culture is, how your people engage, and it's like a science. We got to break it down and understand. So I think the live design, the visualization, it's starting to look more like home. So people are like, they start to shop online. They start to get this experience online of what they want the workplace to look like. Yeah. And so it became a very complex, it has always been complex, but it's becoming more and more complex to get to the final solution that is like the right budget, the right aesthetic, the right function for their people. Because we have to help our clients manage all those. And live design through some of our 3D tools has become really critical. So you used to take, you meet with a client, you would understand what they're looking for, or at least you would listen, and you'd walk away, and then you go try to create that. And then you come back, and then there's tweaks, and then you go back for a week, and you come back. And then it's like, oh my gosh, it's been 6 weeks, and we're not there yet. So live designs really helped us get to the solution faster. Like, let's take a little bit more time up front. Let's look at our floor plate. Let's stretch, pull, change finishes in real time in front of the client, and help them see, because we do this every day, they do not. And so it's helping them kind of see, oh yeah, never mind, that is not what we're looking for. And we can pivot right away and then get to that final solution faster. So I think efficiency and time, construction schedules, move-in schedules, time is money, right? They're making an investment in their space and their people. And so I think the live design process makes them feel like they're a part of it. It gets them excited for it. They can share with their employees what this experience was like, and then we can get them the right solution that they feel confident in. So I want to delve a bit more into your business brand story and how it's evolved over time and what it is now. What do you want your clients to feel the moment they interact with your brand, whether it's by connecting with an associate or walking through your front door? My instant reaction goes to we care. We care. We're not here to just sell you something. It's more than a sale. It's a relationship, and it's an experience. And I always hope that comes out in our passion for what we do. A lot of our, my mom, myself, our designers, our salespeople, a lot of them were designers. So it's like we have this creative edge to solve a problem, but still help bring a vision together, collaborating, with architectural and design firms to bring those visions to life with furniture and flooring. But I just, I hope it comes across that we care, and it's customer first, and we're here to take care of them.
Yeah. And our customers, when they buy office furniture, they only buy it the normal, not normal, there's no, the average size business, not the large corporations, but the average size business only buys every 10 to 12 years. So when they go to buy, this is their first time they've done it in a long time, if ever. And then they're like, I got to make the right decision. I've got a lot of people relying on me. So it is a matter of letting them feel comfortable and saying, we can always adjust this. We can find it in different price points. We can bring samples out and let your team try them and sample out chairs for a week or two and get some input. One of our customers, a huge customer, did that with their employees. They said, we're going to give you a floor of furniture. We're going to give you each 5 competitors. We're going to give you 13 stations, right on down this whole floor. And we're going to ask you to talk to our customers for the next 6 months. Meet with them monthly, find out what their interest is, find out what they like, what they don't like. None of us brought the same exact stations. It was all the HR department of this company, and there were people from benefits to, all the way to the other end of interviews and bringing people into the business. The point was this: after 6 months, we made like major changes. We said, oh, because of where she was sitting, she goes, I can't concentrate. It's constant traffic. We put a panel up. Another person asked for something else, and I said, well, why don't we do this? So we bought something and brought it back in. At the end of this scenario, 6 months into it, we thought everybody was playing the game that we were. Like, we're going to adjust it. We're going to learn. They said, I don't like facing this direction. I can't concentrate. There's a glare on my screen. I have to close the blinds. Well, those windows are for everybody, not just you to have the blinds closed.
Yeah.
So the point was, we learned a lot about human interaction and how people were living in their space, and they were going from tall panels where they all sat isolated private into low panels. And that was the big cultural change. So anyways, the point was, they were listening to the clients, we were listening to the clients. At the end of it, they said, we're going to award this to you. And I said, wow, that's great. And they said, you're the only one that made any changes to the original stations. In 6 months, you didn't want to make any adjustments? So they were like, you got this, because you listened to us and you listened to them. And did they find the exact station and the right station? Maybe not, but quite frankly, the experiment was for us, and of all people, the HR department, who were looking at our employees internally. And so it was a big surprise to us, because it was like, well, why would we not do something about it when we heard there was an issue?
Yeah.
So we learned a lot, and that's the first time in 40 years that we ever had something like that happen. But it was mind-changing, and it was an account that we had been pursuing and looking for and couldn't get into for 25 years.
25 years?
I watched that account.
Wow.
And I thought, here's our chance. We got a chance to show. And again, we had no idea the competitors weren't doing a thing. They're like, hey, we bought it. You sit in it. You want to change something, you got to buy it. And I thought, wow. It just never crossed my mind that I would ask them to. Anyways, the point is, we have a different philosophy on how we're going to help somebody. It's not all about the product and making money and image and stuff. It's a long-term relationship.
Yeah.
And it's staying with a company for a long time, and people have shifted from that company to another, and they'll call. It's like, hey, you took care of us over here. So it's people trusting people and working with them one-on-one. And I think that's the biggest thing for our sales team and our account team, is that when they go into an account, they're there as a team. Like, one's a project manager, one's a designer, one's a salesperson, one's listening to the details and trying to make sure the order gets placed and the timing gets placed. So we're not just, anyways, the point is we sell as a team, we listen as a team, and someone might pick up on something that someone else didn't hear.
Oh, yeah. And you care as a team.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So you use this term, zero punch lists, and it's a big part of your culture. It's used in describing your goal for projects. Chelsea, can you talk about that aspect of your culture and how you're carrying that on?
Yeah, so zero punch list. At the end of the day, we spend a lot of time with our clients as they make decisions on product and finishes and details and things like that. But when it comes, to install day, we want everything to go right, because the experience can be so great that whole time, but install day, if things, we don't want a client to be upset. And so zero punch list comes down to making sure that we're doing everything we can throughout the design process, throughout the specification process, and before order, to triple check everything and make sure that everything's right. But at the end of the day, some things go wrong. There's a lot of details in furniture. There's a lot of things. And I think we keep a lot of customers because they know we're going to take care of them. We know we're going to have some mistakes. Everyone makes mistakes. But how do we handle it? How do we take care of them? They know, I feel confident that our customers know that we're going to do the right thing. It's one of our core values. Do the right thing, customer first, and have them taken care of. So zero punch list, we're not done until their space is done, and there's nothing left on that punch list. we have a happy customer.
I love that. I love that. So we're going to dive into your business growth strategy, just taking folks a bit more behind the scenes as it relates to how you're sustaining clients and growing your client base, all the while maintaining a great culture. What's one decision that you believe that you've made that has had the biggest long-term impact on creating a strong brand?
Yeah.
Strong. Brand is, I think, an interesting word. I think from a business growth strategy, brand is very internal and external. Mm-hmm. And I think people, even myself, feel the Amazon effect impacting our customers' expectations. Yeah. And I think that, you can know exactly where that truck is that's bringing you your delivery, right? Yeah. Right. And so it's a difficult mindset for a B2B business, a small business, that is managing over 100 different manufacturers bringing them product to make sure that we can deliver on this new growing expectation of communication. And so I think we made an investment 4 years ago now, to change our operating system to something that was a platform that was not from the furniture industry. I think in the past it was very furniture industry based software operating systems, and this system has just allowed us to think differently and embrace technology as things come about technology wise, that apps and AI and all these different things. This platform allows us to be able to get there faster for our customers. Now, we're finding internally, we're not a tech company, but we're starting to, like a lot of small businesses, that technology is no longer a necessity to a business, but a business driver. And so I think from a brand perspective, we're trying to we've 4 years into the business, we're now trying to think about, okay, how can this system now enhance our customer experience? And I think everything we've talked about, service, response time, punch list, it's all about communication. And now we need to get that information to people sooner. And so it's been a big investment in time to be able to keep up those expectations for customers so that we can stand behind that brand that we've built of reliability and get it done right.
Reputation.
Reputation is everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Darla, if you had to start the company over today with no marketing budget,
right?
What is the first thing that you would do to start building your brand strategically?
Network, meet people, go out and see what's going on, understand where I could be, where we could find business. I don't know if that was the right answer.
Oh yeah, no, it's a great answer.
To me, it's like people know now that we can work from anywhere. And we've seen a lot of customers that have shifted. They're like, we don't need this lease anymore. Everybody's very productive. It depends upon the business. They're very productive in their own environments. Now they need to come together. In a lot of bigger companies, they've lost their employees because they want to be independent. But when I think about starting over and what would I do, I mean,
invest in relationships.
Relationships. And when I did start in 1986, I said, you know what, if I can find it on Quick Ship, even then Quick Ship was big. If I could find it on Quick Ship and I could design around that, I could deliver within 4 weeks and I could make a customer happy and I can get my commission within 8 weeks. So the point was,
strategic.
Get paid, right?
That's right.
I hear
The point
you.
was, and if I don't know anything else, if I memorize and know everything available on the Quick Ship program, every time I talk to a customer, I've got my ammunition, I've got my ideas, and I can be flexible, certain things. But when a customer comes to you and says, I need 150 stations in 4 weeks, and that was my first big customer, I was like, what? And I didn't even know how to draw a station or to have a station. I had been in residential design. But the team of people at the company were all about it. They're like, let's get this done. And they jumped in and I trusted them and they showed me the way. So it does take a team of people with different expertise. It does take adjustments to what one customer wants is not the same as what another customer wants. So If I had to do it all over again, there's some things I have learned and would do the same, and some things that I would say, let's keep it simple.
Yeah.
Let's find a way to make the customer still happy. And a lot of it comes with a technology like the 3D design. If you can sit in front of somebody and show them rearrange a room and rearrange the furniture and they can see it, they can make decisions.
Yeah.
And back in the day, it used to be a 2D drawing, and then if they had a mistake, they'd have to make this great big eraser and move it over 2 inches. And so, you think today, it's a whole different world.
Yeah, yeah, it really is. So, Chelsea, yeah. Chelsea, how do you stay current with trends?
Yeah.
When it comes to brand marketing, there's so much happening that's impacted by technology. It can be overwhelming, if you will.
Yeah.
So, how do you stay current with trends, coupled with what's happening in the interior design space? Like, how do you balance staying on top of it all to remain as competitive and strategic in this environment?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's resources from a visual inspiration that, maybe it's my generation, but I still lean into Pinterest a lot. Curiosity of textures and finishes or things I still find a lot of passion. And fun fact, the app was created by an architect to capture his inspiration for projects and things like that. So still very a place for me to find the visual inspiration. And I get back to touch. I think interior design magazines, they used to just stack up and look nice, they make a nice photo, but it's like, let's open that up and see what's going on across the globe, globally design that's happening. But when it comes to strategy and design, I'm passionate about the difference between design and decoration. As an interior designer here in Columbus, we're working hard to define that difference. In design, we really do a lot around science and research of how space is safe and how do you take research and apply how you place furniture or where lighting is or how flooring patterns change that truly impact a person, comfortability to get around the space and color, just different things. There's so much a level deeper, and I think as designers we lean into our manufacturers that have a global presence, that do have full research R&D teams that are doing research and development, not just here in Ohio but across the globe, to learn about how research can impact a space and impact people. And at the end of the day, a business's bottom line, right? And so our manufacturer, Hayworth, they have a great research and development team. And I love just being amongst their researchers and slowing down and relearning how we approach design and how we approach strategy with customers, because there's a science to it. We were just talking yesterday about prepping for a client meeting that's like, we just want to attract and retain people back into the space, and we just need new furniture. I'm like, it's not that simple. So I think I just eat up the research and knowledge about furniture and how it can have such a strong impact on people's investment that they're making. So I lean into manufacturers. They have so many resources. And so I think for women leaders in different businesses, different industries, find those resources, find those teams that put that research and knowledge together to kind of support what you're doing and your mission and thought leadership, right? I think that's a building block off thought leadership.
Yeah. Darla, I have been fortunate to have you as a mentor and just personal supporter, and can't thank you enough for that. But you've done that for many women, but I love sitting here watching the effect that you've had also on your daughter as well. Can you talk about how you differentiate between that mom advice and CEO coaching during high stakes meetings or opportunities? How do you walk that fine line?
It's hard. It is difficult because I have, I'm just kind of, my world has been working. My world has been, my friends have been my customers have been, and I think about that all the time, like, okay, as they retired, then the whole world kind of shifted, and the customers were of her age and also our son's age, who's 43. And it was a whole different conversation, whole different situation. So when I think about, when do I come in as mom and when do I come in as the CEO? And I never was titled CEO. I was always the president because we had the president's organization, we had the women's president, whatever. The point was, the title didn't matter to me as much as the things that I was trying to get done. I think the thing that I've learned that Chelsea's picked up on is I was doing the marketing back in the day. I was doing the operations. I was doing a little bit in everything because it grew that way. When she came in, she said, listen, I got to divide up what I do best, and I got to find people that'll do what I don't do best, and then I could have them on a team. Like, we need somebody in IT, and we need to get somebody here because we're going to get into this new program and we're going to need support. We need somebody in marketing full time, and we did pull somebody into marketing. But again, we were always the jack of all trades. We had a gal named Nancy at our other business when we were on Huntley Road, and Nancy did the chair samples. She did the advertising. She did the marketing. She did the events. She did anything that happened. Hey, Nance, and Nance would take it on. Well, when Nancy left, I realized.
Like, oh shit, Nancy's leaving. All right, here I go.
Watch your language. No, the point was, it was like, okay, now we got to grow up. Now we really got to make ourselves. And so Chelsea allowed time for each of those areas to meet weekly and put together some goals and some ideas. And it didn't have to be a whole year's goals. It could be like, we're going to meet and here's a deadline. We're going to meet and we're going to talk about this. Now we've got this. So it was her way of
feeling organized, feeling like I got my crap together. Yeah. I mean, what I've kind of like absorbed is like, it's one thing to start a business and just add things to your mindset, add things to your shoulders. Yeah. And then, just jumping into a business, it's like, here you go. Some things are working really well and some aren't. And so it's just, we work on an operating system called EOS to kind of help.
Entrepreneurial
Operating System. Yeah. Help us just like break everything down. And we're doers. We don't, I think what's so different about a small business is you don't have managers just managing people sitting around, right? It's everyone's
not those
doing.
Layers.
And so you can get so caught up in the emails, the calls, the issues, and that's where you need to spend your time, right? But then there's all these other goals and things you want to push forward. And so I think building in accountability is so critical to small businesses and leaders to hold themselves accountable to their goals and their growth strategies and where they want to go and what does the future look like. So,
and I think that was the that was the eye opener for me when I got into EOS. I heard it loud and clear. I'm the visionary. I need a
integrator.
And I was like, that's what's wrong. I'm trying to vision it, and I'm not integrating anything. I wasn't getting things done to the next level. And so having Chelsea come in and be the integrator and own it and then say, hey, here's what we're going to do and here's how we're going to do it, was like such a relief too, because it was like, yes, someone still needs to think about 20 years from now, 10 years from now, where are we going to be, what are we going to look like, even 5 years from now. And so EOS has given us that opportunity. Think 1 year out, 3 years out, 5 years out. And the beautiful thing is we've been in it 10, 15?
More than that,
15 years. It's evolved around the management team, but it's also evolved into the culture in our department. And so it was an eye-opener for us to say, now there's some structure.
Yeah. Now, every winning team has disagreements, right? You don't get along all the time. You throw some family dynamics in the mix. It could get a little interesting around here, right?
Right.
Can you talk about your playbook for reaching a resolution when you have different ideas or thoughts about how to move forward?
Yeah. I think that's something that is something that I've realized has become a strength, that has been a strength that I didn't realize for a long time. Like, my mindset, my mom's mindset, Diane, our CRO's mindset, my brother coming from the customer experience. I mean, we have, and my dad financially always pulling us back, like, nope, we have to listen. And I think, we have to listen to each other. And I think we can get passionate about stuff. Yeah. And that's healthy. I mean, you want that passionate tension, but you have to be able to listen, speak, and get to a place where, like, this is the best idea. Because there's a vision, and then there's, what's it going to take to get that done? Mm-hmm. And we modify and we strategize, and we're very passionate about this business. We're lucky to have leaders that are just as passionate as our family about this business. And so it's just making sure that everyone has a voice, and you'll get there. You get there. There's definitely not a playbook. I would say, even from a family perspective, it was pretty funny. One day my mom called me and she's like, we just put an offer on a lake house at Indian Lake. I'm like, what? It's like, what are you doing? My dad and her were up there, and that has become a place for us as a family to not be business. And it's been special. It's to have that mindset, because at home, it's, she goes home to my dad, and it's business. And so when we get together on Sundays for dinner, it comes up for sure. And my husband and my sister-in-law are like, here we go again. Yeah. But
it's hard not to.
Yeah.
It's nice that you have that space. Yeah. Where you can truly have family time. Yeah. As far as possible.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
And I look back at this, people ask me about family business a lot. It's not easy. But at the same time, I talk to my friends and other people who are like, I haven't talked to my mom in a week, I got to give her a call. And I'm like, I talk to my mom every day. I talk to my dad every day. I get to go to lunch with my dad every day when I want to. So it's a very special thing that can be taken for granted. Yeah. It's kind of like having coworkers that have become such good friends, and it's just really great to be around family. But
balance.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. We want to always ask about what we call fumbles and recoveries, because nothing's perfect, right? There's hills and valleys, and so can you just tell us about a professional misstep that the company made, not just you individually, but just a misstep that the team made, and the valuable lesson that it taught you, and how you recovered?
There's always going to be bumps in the road. One that kind of one recently for me when I thought about this question, as I'm transitioning into CEO, again, I'm not that founder entrepreneur mindset, but I have different leadership skills and mindsets, and learning to try to have that same good gut that Darla has and had. I have these strong, passionate ideas as I'm developing into visionary, and they got shot down really fast, and so I let them sit. I let them go. And then a week, a month, a quarter later, two of them, we could have been overly prepared for something that we weren't, because we didn't take that risk. We didn't do that. So I think, if I say anything to kind of looking back on that, it's for leaders and women, just take the risk, trust your gut, and don't let go of those ideas, as they're presenting themselves. I think just have confidence in that.
Yeah. Darla, can you think of anything?
I was at a nonprofit one day, and we were going to give them 7 offices. And I said, well, here's what's going to happen. Furniture's free, but I'm just going to need to charge for the labor. And you're going to be moving out all this other furniture. We're going to donate it to somebody else, blah, blah, blah. And he goes, well, how much is this going to cost? And I said, well, for the 7 desks and chairs, it's going to be like $1,000. He goes, $1,000? I'm like, well, that's really, really good. I mean, he hasn't bought anything new in years, right? So I said, oh, wow. And he's thinking about it. And he goes, you know what? I'm going to show you something. He takes me out back and opens the back door. And he goes, see that bus out there? I want to sell that bus. Anybody wants it? Because he knows I was talking to other nonprofits. And I go, how much you want for it? He goes, $1,000. I said, are you kidding? For a bus? And it was 2008. It wasn't that old. It had been stripped. Catalytic converters, headlights were gone. Anyways, I bought the bus and I brought it here, and it was during 2020 because I thought, you know what, 2021 I think it was. I said, if we can furnish this, gut this bus and furnish it, we could take the bus around town, show product, new product, because they're not going to be able to come in, and we could make it into like a traveling trade showroom. That didn't happen, but finally, after.
It came in handy for my wedding, that's for sure.
That's true.
How did you use it for your wedding?
It was like transportation to the rehearsal dinner for
repurpose.
Came in handy.
That's right.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
Fred.
Yeah.
So anyways, the boss sat in the back here for many, many months, and we invested a lot into it, like about $10,000 to get it working and running. So the $1,000 deal was not so great, but we did end up selling it to a nonprofit. It was right at the beginning of the summer, and he needed to transfer kids, and he was ready to go, and it was just perfect timing, and we flipped it, and they needed it bad. So it was a handicap bus. You could put the back down, and somebody in a wheelchair could. I mean, it was but live and learn. It needed a CDL license.
Oh. That little thing.
Okay. So I was like, I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
So nobody here could really, anyways, we did drive it to her wedding and back. Our uncle did. But anyways, that's a silly example, but when things happen in the business, we usually just talk it through, give it some room, some space, come back and say, okay, I hear you now. I didn't hear you the first time, but I'm listening, and I think you're right. I think we need to shift and go to this direction. So I think sometimes it's been, and that's where, like last year in December, I retired officially from not being here every day. And because if I'm here every day, it's like, what does Darla think? What does Darla want to do? Come to me. And if I'm not here and they have to ask a question, they can always call and say, what would you do on this? So that gave me that shift and that break of just, I can't make those decisions anymore. I don't need to make those decisions. There's other ways. There's no one way to do a business. And it's just a matter of the dynamics and who's around and what's happening and the conversations that need to be had.
Yeah.
So.
What is next for King Business Interiors? What are you most excited about?
You first?
The future of just how we procure and how we deliver and how we handle things that have been the way they've always been forever. I mean, we deal with tariffs today, and tariffs are there and a thing of the today. Will they go away? Who knows? But so many of our manufacturers and so many of the residential manufacturers are going out of business. I mean, I'm shocked at the ones that have just recently filed bankruptcy, including a major one here in Columbus. And I just think, okay, that's residential furniture, which typically residential, commercial is a little different world, but it's still, the products they're making, they're buying parts from overseas, and they're buying parts from other places. And it's reflecting in how we can control our industry. And if they don't bring it back here and work here, then we're going to get hit with some pretty big. They're getting hit with some pretty big numbers. And every manufacturer handles it differently. They just say there's a price increase, or they'll say that we're going to split the tariff. You're going to pay half. We're going to pay half. But learning about that and understanding that we don't have control over that. We can't plan that. We can't to say what are we going to do for the future. We almost had to be, again, very agile, very open to what's next and what's new. And I'll tell you, in the last 5 years, the industry, the typical office that a person sits in is no longer a cubicle with 4 sides. It's a height adjustable table, a mobile bed, a chair, and maybe a few walls that would give them a little bit of privacy division. But it's become simpler and it's easier. It's not a complicated delivery or installation. So we have to think differently about how we're pricing things, how we're handling things. Do we stock things? If it's the exact same table base and we're just going to change the top, why don't we stock those bases so we can install it in a week? Why don't we? I mean, so those are the things we're thinking about, like what's next and what are people going to want? And then we look at also at height adjustable tables and we think, how many height adjustable tables have moved in the last 6 months in your space?
Right.
Not many.
Right.
And that's shifted. But at one point, that was a huge trend.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, I'm most excited about. I think what's awesome is Columbus is
growing.
Such a cool city. Being born and raised here, I think people come back that I went to high school with, and they're like, what has happened to Columbus? It's just blown up. And we're not stopping anytime soon. So I think what I'm most excited about for the future of King is, as second generation of the family business, second life cycle of the business, is thinking about who the dealer needs to be, what's the role of the dealer in this world, and how do we locally have a strong impact on Columbus and growing Columbus and making Columbus, inside and out those buildings, a place where people want to be, attracting and retaining people to come to Columbus, and helping organizations thrive here in Columbus, because there's a lot of people moving their headquarters here. And so it's exciting. It's a very exciting time to be a part of the growth here in the city.
Oh, for sure. Thank you so much for sharing your story. It has just been incredible watching King Business grow over the years, watching your community impact, and now watching the passing of the crown, if you will, right?
That's right.
Touché.
Right.
But thank you for sharing your advice and your stories.
Thank you.
And it's just also great seeing this really cool chemistry between you two.
Awesome.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Keisha.
Appreciate it.
It's been fun.
Thank you for listening and watching. We want to thank our presenting sponsor, the Columbus Chamber of Commerce, Brainstorm Media, and Kylie Lovesy Design. Listen and watch wherever you get your podcasts, and visit us online at herbusinessplaybook.com.